Right on, folks. John Crane coming to you from Bainbridge Island, Washington, the home of pickleball. And I am standing here on a pickleball court that we upgraded and resurfaced last summer. Now, this is actually a historic pickleball court. This is one of the original pickleball courts ever built. This was built in the late 1960s, and we did a major upgrade to it. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, this is not going to be a short video, and that is for a reason. I want you to watch me go through the whole process here of resurfacing and painting this court, putting the lines on, putting up the net posts, putting up the net, the whole 9 yards. So when you're done watching this video, you'll feel like you've already built a pickleball court, and you'll be ready to roll to build your own. I gotta tell you, this is a really fun process building a pickleball court. And in this video, I'm gonna teach you, and you're gonna learn, the size of the pickleball court, how to do the layout on all the lines. I'm gonna give you all the dimensions. Also, I'm gonna tell you where to get all the materials for surfacing the court. We're using the official USA Pickleball court surface. I'm also gonna tell you how to get a net, where to get it, how to build the net posts, also where to source some posts if you don't want to build your own. But there's a lot going on here, and it's all included in this video. So let's get started and build a pickleball court. Now, most likely you will not have an old historic pickleball court in your backyard, and you will need to pour a concrete slab or have an asphalt court put in. You can form and pour your own concrete, but a job this size is best left to a concrete company. The size of the surface you will need is 30 feet by 60 feet. We started the process on this court by pressure washing the concrete. This will assure good adhesion for our new surface. I wanted to put in new net posts, so I am breaking out the concrete around the old ones to make way for the new. I picked up some steel to make the post. The sleeves that will go in the concrete are 4-inch Schedule 40, and the posts are 3.5-inch Schedule 40. They really fit together nicely. I'm drilling and tapping for a 5/8 bolt. This will be a secure connection that you will see later when I put it together. I want these posts to be really secure, so I'm welding some rebar to the sleeves. We will be putting some good tension on this net, and I want this to be strong. Here I am leveling up the post sleeves and welding them in position to the rebar. I am also pulling a string line to check that they are on center with the midline of the court. Here is a diagram for the post setup. You can pause the video and take a screenshot. Note here that the posts are 22 feet apart from inside to inside. Please look closely at this drawing for all the details. I realize that not everyone will make their own net posts, and I will put a link in the description to some pre-made posts. It's always nice to have some help mixing and pouring concrete, and we are making some quick work of it here. Here I am using a concrete vibrating tool. Let me tell you, these things are worth their weight in gold and helps get that concrete down into all the nooks and crannies. I will put a link in the description to this tool. This is a cheapie, but I definitely recommend getting one of these if you are pouring some concrete. Okay, the next process is to fill all the cracks so we get a nice, smooth playing surface. Here is my formula for the crack filler. A bag of sand mix, which is cement and sand mixed together, and instead of water, I use this acrylic fortifier as the liquid. This creates a nice, strong bond to the concrete. The key is to make up a nice soupy mixture. Here we are using a watering can to dispense it and then trowel it smooth. No backache. Okay, here we go. I'm going to give you all the info on where and what to buy for your court surface. First, I went to Sportmaster.net. They make all sorts of court surfaces. You can go on this website and use their design tools and choose what colors you want. They have lots of options. After that, I called up Sealmaster. They are a distributor for Sportsmaster. They are very knowledgeable about the products and can get you set up with a great package. Okay, here you can see my invoice with all the details. These prices are from 2024, so I'm sure it is a lot more expensive now. But you can see here, I got 2 5-gallon pails of acrylic adhesion promoter. I got 5 5-gallon pails of acrylic resurfacer. This is actually a concentrate. This actually makes 7 gallons each because you mix 2 gallons of water to this 5 gallons. Next up is 8 5-gallon buckets of the Ready Mix Blue. This comes with the sand already mixed in it, hence it's Ready Mix. Next is 3 5-gallon pails of Forest Green Ready Mix. This also has the sand in it. Then we have 1 gallon of Stripe Right. This is a clear acrylic that prevents bleeding through under the tape when you're putting on the white line stripes. And then, of course, they also give you 1 gallon of white textured line paint. They also sell you here a 30-inch yellow-handled squeegee, and then there's also some freight and some tax on top of all this. Acrylic adhesion promoter. This will ensure that our court surface will have a strong bond to the concrete. Be sure to use a broom and a blower to remove any debris before application. You can put this on with a roller or a brush, but here I am applying it with an airless sprayer. You want a thin coat with no puddles, and you can see how this airless sprayer makes quick work of this process and you get a nice even coat. I let this dry overnight before applying the acrylic resurfacer. Our next step is applying the acrylic resurfacer. This is 100% acrylic latex with sand. This comes as a concentrate, and you will need to mix in 2 gallons of water for each 5-gallon pail, resulting in 7 gallons of resurfacer. Here we are using a 10-gallon container to mix in. First we pour in the 5 gallons of resurfacer, and then we add the 2 gallons of water. You definitely need a drill with a paddle mixer to do this, and you're going to want to mix until you get a nice smooth consistency. Alright, it's go time and we are ready to rock and roll. Here we are pouring out a liberal amount of the resurfacer at the edge of the court, and we'll repeat as needed across the court. You never want your puddle of resurfacer to run dry. You always want to be moving a puddle with the squeegee. And now is for the fun part. You get to test out your squeegee skills, and this is an important part of this video that I want you to watch and absorb the process. Lots of people are used to using a paint roller, but painting with a squeegee is a bit different. In this case, we need the squeegee to move the paint and the sand together. The resurfacer is quite thick, and it takes a squeegee to apply it correctly. I read a book a while back called The Inner Game of Tennis, and it's about a tennis coach who realizes that he can teach better by having the students watch him as he serves a tennis ball rather than trying to talk them through the motions. By having the students watch him serve or hit forehands over and over, they were able to grasp the concept and improve their game. Here in this video, I want to provide you with a good visual of me using the squeegee over and over, and by the end of this video, you will feel like you have already surfaced a pickleball court. Watch as I am going back and forth using the squeegee much like a snowplow, keeping that puddle about midway on the squeegee. I want you to relax, take it all in, let your mind be free, and be the squeegee. Be the resurfacer and get into a nice flow state. Okay, now we are going to lay out the court. And if you look at this drawing, you can see in the center, we have the kitchen, or some call it the no volley zone. And then we have our service boxes. And then we have the perimeter of the court. We want to snap some chalk lines on the court. And if you look closely at this drawing, the lines that we are snapping fall right in the middle of our 2-inch white stripes. We are doing this so when we paint the court, our colors will meet in the middle of our lines, and when we paint our white lines, they will cover our colored paint by 1 inch on each side. Hence, our white lines are 2 inches wide. So in this case, we'll paint the green to the middle of the white line and also paint the blue to the middle of the white line. Then we will cover that with our white lines. Okay, let's do some layout. The first chalk line you want to snap is in the middle of the court, the net center line. I am using white chalk so it stands out on the black. First, I find center line on our net post using a square. I mark the center on some green tape, then snap a center line between the two net posts. I've made this easy for you on this drawing and show the calculations for the dimensions. You can see here that we want 19 feet 10 inches between our chalk lines. First, I measure in between our net posts and find the center. Then from that center line, I measure 9 foot 11 inches towards each post. This will center our court lines between the net posts, giving us 19 foot 10 inches between chalk lines. Now we want to lay out the two far corners. I like to do all my layout with green tape and use a marker. Before we snap our next lines, we will establish where the corners are. First, pull 21 feet 11 inches from our net center line to the corner and put down a large piece of tape. Then mark 21 feet 11 inches on the tape. Do the same for the other side. Next, we want to pull a diagonal number. Remember a squared plus b squared equals c squared? Well, here it comes again. Our hypotenuse for this one is 29 feet 6 and 11/16 inches. This is where it's nice to have some help. Pull a tape measure from corner to corner and mark a line on the tape with a marker. Hopefully it is close to your other mark of 21 feet 11 inches. Where these two lines intersect is the sweet spot and will ensure that the boxes and lines on your court are nice and square. Repeat this for the other corner, then check your 19 foot 10 dimension here on the end. Everything should line up perfect. Now you can snap these 3 perimeter lines. Okay, the next line is nice and easy. Let's create the line for the non-volley zone by pulling 6 foot 11 inches off of our center net line. Again, do this with tape and a marker and then snap a line through it. And now that you've got that down and you're feeling good, repeat this entire process for the other side of the court. That old North wind is keeping me on my toes, but I'm sure glad I had this pile of bricks and concrete blocks close by to weight down this paper. Alright, I put down some masking here. This is 36-inch red rosin paper. You can mask all four sides if you like. It all depends on how confident you feel with the squeegee coming up to that tape line. But I'm sure you're feeling good and you're gonna feel like a squeegee master at the end of this video. Wax on, wax off, paint the fence up and down, back and forth with the squeegee. A nice horseshoe shape. We're pulling that paint around to the sides, nice and slow. You can see here that I am surfacing all of the service boxes with the green paint. And you can also see the importance of the masking paper. You can drag the excess paint onto it and scoop it up with a shovel. Today is a nice sunny day and the paint was drying quick, so by the time I finished the first coat, the other side was ready for another coat. I will give this court 2 coats of green and 2 coats of blue. Looking at the court now, you can see that I have masked off all 4 sides of the service boxes. This feels really nice knowing I won't get any blue paint over onto the green. I really like that 2-inch green tape from 3M. It is extra sticky for rough surfaces, and you can see I've also got a lot of buckets on the paper so the wind won't blow it all away. Now we want to lay out tape for our white lines. Here is what your tape will look like so you know where we are heading. Once again, we have to get out the tape measure and pull some numbers. Okay, just a quick note of when I am pulling with my measuring tape off of these lines. I do not pull with the end of the tape. I don't line the end of the tape up with the line. Instead, I line up the 1-inch mark with my line, and then I pull my number. Now, this is a more accurate way of doing this, but it's also a little risky if you forget to add that number on the other end of your measurement. So you got to increase all your measurements by 1 inch. Hopefully that makes sense. Also, when I'm using a steel tape like this is a 50-foot steel tape, and when we pull this out, sometimes I burn 2 inches and I use the 2-inch mark right on the line because it can be kind of hard to lay this down on 1 inch or even on 0 accurately. First, we are going to find our net center line, and in this instance, I pulled a string across the court representing our net center line because I don't want to snap a line across the center of the court. This line doesn't get covered up with paint. The rest of the lines will. After finding center on our net line, we are going to pull a measurement of 10 feet off the center line towards our net post. This will be the outer edge of our white line, and then 2 inches in from 10 feet is 9 foot 10. I will put another mark here. Again, I'm using the green tape and a marker. Here is a closer look at those two measurements on the drawing. 10 feet from center to the outer edge and 9 foot 10 to the inner edge. Next, I will pull 22 feet from our net center line to the corners, and also coming in 2 inches to 21 feet 10 inches to the inside of our line. Okay, here you can see I am lining up the 1 inch mark, then marking my number an inch long because I am burning an inch on the tape measure. Now that I have all corners marked with my 22 foot number and also marking 21 feet 10 inches for the inside of our white stripe, it is time to pull the diagonal numbers to square it all up. And here our diagonal number is 29 feet 8 and 13/16. I am doing this by myself and using a heavy weight to hold the tape in place. Here you can see I am pulling the tape from the 2 inch mark, and I'll add 2 inches to my number on the other end to make up for it. Again, where these two lines cross is the corner. Now I'm going to pull the lines for the non-volley zone. Pulling out from the net center line, our dimensions are 6 foot 10 and 7 feet. It looks like now I am pulling from the tip of the tape measure and not burning an inch. I guess pulling from the tip is working today, and you can see here I am marking 7 feet and 6 foot 10. Next, we are going to create the center line between our two service boxes. Here the dimensions from the sidelines are 9 foot 11 and 10 foot 1. It is time to snap some lines. I am using white chalk, which is not permanent, and it is easily swept away with a broom. I would not use blue or red chalk here. Notice we are pulling the string line out over the grass so we don't spill chalk on the court. This is a fun part of the process here, snapping the lines, and you get to see the court kind of come into shape. We're snapping both sides of those 2 inch lines. Right on, folks. John Crane bringing you all the hits. All right, right now it is a stripe right time. This is a clear coat that you put down first, and what this does, it seals the edges of the tape to the court, so when you roll on the white line paint, it won't bleed under the tape. This is super easy with this bottle. Just squeeze out a line and roll it out with a 3-inch roller. Easy as that. One coat. As soon as this dries, you're ready to roll with your white line paint. Meanwhile, back in the machine shop, John makes his own pickleball net posts. I know, right? You're thinking, what the heck? Now the guy's making his own pickleball net posts. What's next? Is he molding plastic pickleballs with the machine next to his bed? All right. I don't think I'm going to show all the details of making these net posts unless you guys are interested. Maybe I'll make a separate video about how I made these posts. These are super strong and super sturdy, but I'm going to show you some alternatives here that you can buy and put up yourself. Okay, let's look at some net posts. There are several out there on the market ranging from $300 to about $4,000. This one from Anthem Sports is not too bad at $1,200. Here is an aluminum one for $699. This one you bolt down to the concrete surface. If you can get one with a sleeve, that goes into the concrete, that is so much stronger, and it is great. You can remove the posts for easy maintenance and cleanup. Pickleball Central has some options here, and Edwards is a brand I see often. Just read reviews, look for quality. These nets are under a good amount of tension. Oh, and also if you want a portable pickleball net, there's lots of those out there too. You can just roll these off of the court. All right, I hope this helps, and perhaps later I will release the video with the details on how I made the net posts. Let me know in the comments. Okay, let's look at setting up the posts and the net. On this drawing, you can see that there's 22 feet between posts, and these posts are 36 inches above the court surface. The net should be 36 inches at the post, the top of the net, 36 inches at the post, and 34 inches at the center. This is according to the USA Pickleball guidelines. That means you will need a strap to tension the net at the center and pull it down to 34 inches. Over that. All right, with green paint on hands, let's tension this net, kind of like the Jolly Green Giant here. All right, first you got to slide those little rods into the side pockets. That is going to help with tensioning the net. So I've hooked it to one side of the net. Over here I am hooking the cable into this ratchet system that I have set up, and I'm starting to tension the net. Here I'm going to slide in this rod on this side of the net. Now I have elected to use these heavy-duty zip ties instead of tying this with string. Some net posts have these little things that you can tie the string to. I didn't want to fool around with tying knots. I wanted this to be nice and strong. These are really heavy-duty zip ties. I'm giving a little extra tension to the net. I want that to be nice and straight across the whole top, and I will tension the middle here soon with a strap. You can see here that we've got 36 inches right on the money on both sides. And here I am going to snip off the excess of these big zip ties. And the net that we used here is Rhino Pickleball. So this seems to be a really nice heavy duty net. I got this off of Amazon. I will put a link in the description. Here this is kind of a little temporary fix for now. I am putting an eyelet here in the center of the court, and I'm going to tension down the net with a strap. I just used a strap that I had on hand. You can buy a special pickleball net strap for the center. You can also core and recess a little hook into the court there. You also saw that we got the net at a nice 34 inches. So this net is basically ready to rock and roll. You know, get your pickleball gear on, get charged up, get ready to go, get everyone over for a big tournament. Right on, there we go, folks. Hopefully this helps you in building your own pickleball court. This was a fun project. It was a lot of work, and I think it came out great. Bainbridge Island, the home of pickleball. I tell you, people have been playing pickleball on this court since 1969. Not too many people knew about it then, and now it's on its way to becoming an Olympic sport. All right, thanks for joining me on this project. This video was a lot of work to produce. Please give it a like. Drop a comment below. Let me know what you're thinking. Hit that subscribe button, and until I see you next time, happy pickleballing, and stay out of the kitchen. Right on. And I want to give a big shout out to Red Baron Bob for doing our aerial photography. Thanks, Bob.